there's a lot of talk this time of year about love and relationships and your Valentines, right? And so that got me thinking about how much pressure there can be on the relationships, the romantic relationships, especially in your life during this week. Human design reveals who you are energetically and who you came here to be. I'm Dana, human design specialist.
And I'm Haley, the human design newbie. Listen in as we explore how leaning into your authentic self is your ultimate path to success. Welcome to the Human Design Hive podcast. Let's get into it.
Hello. How are you doing today? I am so glad you're here. And to be honest, I wasn't sure if I was going to be here this week. No, nothing that dramatic has happened, but just, wow, it's been a crazy week. Kind of got away from me. And, it may or may not be a surprise to you that I don't always have a lot of episodes in the bag, so to speak. I really always have the intention of getting a lot of episodes pre-done, and so that I'm kind of ahead of the 8 ball, so to speak. But it doesn't happen that way all the time, especially with having a co-host who, unfortunately, is not with me today. She's here in spirit. She was actually driving back home today. She was here for several days. But yeah, so I always have the intention of having a lot of episodes ready to go, but it's life, and it's life almost as a generator type. I'm always responding, so my response doesn't always lead me to a readily recorded episode. So this week has gotten away from me, but I've always had something in the back of my mind I wanted to talk to you about. And so, first of all, let me just catch you up on my week of why things are so crazy. It's just life, my family. I am a line 4. I'm a 4-1, as we may or may not know. And so family relationships, they're very important to me, especially my immediate family. They are my world, as I'm sure your families are for you. And even though my children are grown, so to speak, no shade on Haley. She is a wonderful young woman. And I don't mean anything by that. She is grown. I'm not trying to say she's not grown. She is grown. She's married. She's independent. She's fully capable. She's amazing. My son, he still lives here with us. He's 23. And I also have my niece that lives with me now. She's lived here for the last year or so. And she had her 18th birthday this week, which was a big, big deal in the family. And so to help commemorate the event, we always like to do something, but we surprised her with Haley coming up because they've grown rather close in the last year. She was one of Haley's bridesmaids, and we really had a great time. And so there's all these activities going on. I also work part-time at a local florist, and this week was a lot more full-time than part-time because if you're not aware, at the time of this recording, Valentine's Day is next week. And I never paid much attention to Valentine's Day until I worked for a florist. And it's closest, well, Super Bowl is actually tonight. Today's Sunday. It is like the Super Bowl in a way. There's a lot of pressure on florists at Valentine's still. Even if you think flowers may be outdated, there's still a lot of people that send flowers. And it's a crazy, crazy time of year. And we have been putting in a lot of extra hours getting ready for next week. And we run a very small crew. It's essentially the owner, myself, and one other very part-time person. And I have a lot of hats to wear in my role there. And this week has been just a lot of that. And so I've not had a lot of extra time to really put my head in the game in a way and to have the time to record because my house has been full. Even though Haley's been here, we weren't able to record together. All her stuff is in storage as far as some of her recording equipment. So it's a lot of things. And why am I telling you all this? Well, I'm just letting you know that I'm just like you. I have a lot of things going on in my life. I have sometimes things pulling me in different directions, and I'm not always able to get to the things that I want to, but that's okay because I'm just like you, a multifaceted person, lots of interests, lots of different obligations. And I just kind of wanted to open up to you in that way and let you know that even though I'm dedicated to this work and helping you and everything else, I'm like, we all have things in our lives that are happening. And it's been a challenging, but it's been a great week. And then that was a weird thing to say before I tell you the next part, which is that, in the midst of all this, then rather unexpectedly, my husband's father passed away yesterday. He was a dear man. He was 91 years old. And I say unexpectedly, I mean, somebody think, oh, he's 91. It's pretty old, but he had a good long life, but he was still living on his own. He was still driving and all that. And he, just had an incident where he fell down, didn't hit his head or anything like that. Everything was fine, but he was admitted to the hospital for observations, or he was taken to the hospital for observations, and quite quickly things deteriorated and he did pass away, unfortunately. And so that's been a lot of emotionality here in the house, especially for my husband. He lost his mother this time last year and now his father. So he's got all the swirl of emotions and grief and everything going on. And I can understand that. And so as a family, we've just spent our time, last 24 hours or so, just, being together. Just being together. And so it's just, life has happened. But I did want to try to this afternoon kind of get out of my head some of the things that have been swirling about, because as I said, working for a florist, and I know that there's a lot of talk this time of year about love and relationships and your Valentines, right? And so that got me thinking about how much pressure there can be on the relationships, the romantic relationships, especially in your life during this week. The pressure to maybe have a Valentine, find a Valentine, or the pressure to show the person that perhaps they're new in your life, how much you care, or if it's a relationship that's been going on for some time, to let them know how much you care. And I'll be honest, as I said, I never much paid attention to Valentine's Day. My husband and I, Richard, we've been together since 1990, and we've always just kind of felt like Valentine's was, just one of those silly holidays. We didn't really need to put all the pressure on one day. But as I said, in the capacity of my work life right now, I see that a lot of people do. And I know that an obvious question that comes up a lot around human design, one, can it predict the future? No, it can't. I don't know if we did that in the myth busting last week or not, but it's not a predictive tool. Remember, it's a blueprint. But can it help you find a soulmate? Can it help you while you're dating? And it's, my question is my answer, sorry, not my question, is no. But then a little bit, yes. So let me explain. So as I said, no, this is not a predictive tool. It is when you see a body graph, when you have your own design, what it's showing you is the design you came in with. It is your blueprint. And this is the same for everybody. Okay. So really, it's what you're working with. It's what you came in with, but it's not you any more than it is the person across the table from you. Their design, their body graph is not them. It's a template. It's a blueprint. It is, as we said, a design, obviously, but there is so many things that affect the design, mainly your lived experience. And so we know that one of the biggest components to looking at human design and how it quote unquote works is that you're looking at places where you're most likely to have been conditioned. And we always talk about the open centers because that is what they say, where you can find in your open centers more predictable behaviors around conditioning. And so before I go too deep in that, what I wanted to say about the dating part is, or the finding a mate or whatever, is that you shouldn't seek out a certain type of aura type or a certain profile or people with certain definition, because it doesn't work that way, because that is not the whole person. The whole person is the energetic design and then their lived experience and how they have expressed this design, because the all the components there, the gates and the channels, those are a range of the human experience. Okay, so it's always moving, it's always changing, it's always fluctuating as far as the expression of the design. So same thing, you shouldn't date, you shouldn't hire people, you shouldn't be out there determining if someone is a person you want to be in relationship in some way based on their design. That's not working. It doesn't work because, quite frankly, you could look at a body graph and say, oh, this person has all the connections that I need, all the electromagnetic connections. And then on paper looks great, but the person could be just a real psychopath. Same as, you could look at someone's design on paper and think, well, there's no electromagnetic connections there. What could even, bring us together? But it may be a great relationship. There may be just one thing that helps draw you together. It's not meant to be used in that way. But how it can help your relationship. So that's the no part of the helping you find your soulmate. That's the no part. No, this is not how you, figure out if you should swipe right, left, whatever it is. I don't know. Tinder came after my time. I don't know which way I think it's swipe right. I don't know. Oh my God. If Haley were here, she could tell me. But what it can help you with is, one, knowing your own design and where your conditioning is, and knowing what it is you are known to be drawn towards, and really understanding yourself at such a level that when you come into contact with other people, you're more aware of yourself and you're aware of your tendencies and you're aware of your reactions based on conditioning. You're just more self-aware. Okay. It's a great way to become very self-aware. It can help you in that regard. And then also, if you are in relationship to the point that this person has trusted you with their birth information, or it may be someone that you've been married to for 20, 25 years. When you start to get a look at someone else's body graph, it gives you such beautiful insight into who this person is. And I really find that in relationships particularly, it is so powerful in its healing capacity for a relationship. And we may have talked about this before, but I'll talk about it again because it's my own lived experience with my own relationship. And really both of those aspects I just talked about, the self-awareness, but then also my understanding my husband's design. So as far as understanding yourself, I have been on a quest for many, many years, decades of understanding myself. And like I said, I've gone through this whole journey of self-discovery and whatnot for the last nearly 20 years. And as I was doing it from my side of the fence, so to speak, I was working on understanding myself, digging into my past motivations, digging into my past hurts, things that had happened to me, doing the healing work around that, really digging deep into myself, the forgiveness work of issues that I've had with, my father and other people in my life, relationships, like it all felt, or it all was, it is very, shall I say, one-sided in the sense that it's my responsibility. My experience is my responsibility. And I had to take responsibility for my shit, basically. And it doesn't feel pretty at first, doesn't feel great, but it does really, really transform your life. And so, of course, that process is what eventually led me to human design, for human design to enter my life and really start to work through me. Because I feel that all the other things I had tried and worked with, some worked, some didn't, really led me to this work because I had a strong enough foundation there. Let's just say that, I'm very foundational for once, very foundational. But I think this is what helps me be someone who can help transmit this information, is because I have an understanding of what it takes to do all that personal development stuff, and how this system, or this knowledge, I should say, not just a system, this knowledge really kind of shortcuts a lot of that process, because it's a map, it gives you that map. It gives you a map. Like Haley said, you've got a flashlight. You can see all the dark corners and the areas where before it could have taken a lot longer to understand yourself. Trust me, almost 20 years, like I said, of trying to understand what my motivations were and what my conditioning was and all this stuff. It was really a lot of poking around in the dark. Once I got to human design and it came to me, there was that flashlight. I could see myself so much clearer. And that's really, really important in a relationship. It's probably the most important thing in any relationship, but especially in your romantic relationships, your partnerships, because we put a lot on our partners. We put a lot on them to fix us, to heal us, to complete us. We think it's the other that's going to help us. And that's really unfortunate, because it's not up to them to fix us. It's up to us, right? And that also is a very empowering thing, because that means you're always in control of your experience and what you're putting out into the world. And it doesn't make life harder. It really does make life easier. So then the second part of that, of saying, looking at other people's designs and understanding their motivations, is important and helpful, because it's changed my life in such a beautiful and nurturing, empowering way. Because, as I said, I've been with my husband a long time. I love him dearly. Obviously, we have a beautiful family. We've been through a lot of ups and downs, and building businesses and struggling businesses and shifting businesses, taking on new identities, trying to do other things. Now going through the death of, 3 parents now. I've had my mom pass away over 10 years ago, and then both of his parents in this last year. And so that's a lot of strain on a relationship. We've also, like I said, I have my niece living with me now. We've been through a lot, let's just say that, but we've always been pretty solid. But I seriously wonder where we'd be in this moment of life right now, this season of life, without this knowledge that I have with human design. Because these last couple years, pandemic, lots of stuff, even before his mother passed away, she was dealing with dementia. My daughter, moving to Charleston. Well, she went to Greenville, she went to Charleston. Now she's going to Colorado, getting married, starting her own life. I mean, there's just been a lot of changes that happen at this stage in your life. And this puts a lot of strain on a marriage, on a relationship, especially on one that you've been together for so long, because we tend to want our partner to stay the same in certain ways, like how we knew them when we met them. I get that a lot sometimes from my husband. Oh, it's silly things. It's like, you used to like to camp. That's his big one. You used to like to camp. Well, I still like to camp, but I'm more of a I'm more of a RV camper. I'm not a tent camper. No, I'm too old for that now. I don't like that. That's just an aside. But my point being that if you've been in a relationship, say more than even 5-10 years, 5 years, I think is still kind of new, honestly. If you've been in any kind of relationship, if you've had children, any of these things, you know what I'm saying when you can dearly love someone and at the same time want to just throttle them half the time. And I hope you're laughing with me when you understand, if you understand that, because it is, in my opinion, I feel a mark of a solid relationship when you can openly admit that you love someone, but you also just like, they have these tendencies that want to drive you nuts. You're not hiding from it. You're not running away from it, but it's like, what do you do with it? And I hope I'm making sense there. I don't have Haley with me to tell me if I'm making sense right now. So when I saw my husband's design, and I know we've talked about him a lot on here, it's because it's been so illuminating into the inner workings of how he operates, because he's always, certain things have kind of baffled me about him. We've always said, like, why is it we even, on paper, we don't seem like a good match? Like I said, bodygraph type thing, right? Because we could, appear to be very different people. But from the outside, I think a lot of people view us as a unit, as a very cohesive unit. But we have different interests, different likes, but we also have all these common bonds. And so with his human design and my human design, being able to see them, well, one, I can see the electromagnetics. I can see a lot of what drew us together. And it may be what bonds us together in that energetic sense, because of the way we feel. His open spleen likes my defined spleen. His open G, feels safe with my defined G and spleen. He has those open, right? So that's some electromagnetics there. But it's more than that. We're people. We're not just these pictures we see as a body graph. So there was some of that explanation of why we might have, been drawn together. That's also just basic, human biology, chemistry. There was a lot of that at the beginning. It was a very, very quick and very strong attraction. But I've reached a new level of compassion and understanding and acceptance of my husband that I've never experienced before in my life. And it has really helped make these last couple years, which should be some very stressful, hard times at times, financially, just being in close proximity to everybody all the time, those 2 years there, just, there's a lot, right? But it just got better. Why? Why did it get better? Because when I could see and feel so clearly that my design, my human design, was such a beautiful representation of who I truly was, and it gave me such a deep understanding of why I did things, how I did things, gave me permission to lean into parts of myself that I thought were maybe too much or not appropriate or not allowed to be. As you look at the other people in your life and you see their designs, and it just shows you like, wow, this is really amazing. These things that I thought used to be really, I don't know, bothersome, annoying, whatever you want to call it, aspects, are actually part of this person's genius. And I need to encourage it. I need to help them express it better. And if I can do that, then we're both on this path of least resistance, so to speak. And like I said, I'm sure you've heard snippets before if you've listened to any other episodes, but I'm a generator. My husband's a manifesting generator. We're both highly individual circuitry people. Like predominantly, I think the predominant channels, my circuitry is this individual focused, and more than half of his design is individual circuitry. We're about right there. He's probably got some of the most I've seen. And And I think that's what makes us work a lot of times, is because we are these two kind of self-contained individuals that do things in our own way, but then we are bonded through these other experiences and electromagnetics and all that stuff in the chart. We've always been very comfortable with each other in the sense that we're not the jealous types. We don't do that. We just don't. We're just really ourselves with each other. And we often are baffled why people can't just, honor and respect their partners and just enjoy each other. So probably one of the things that would annoy me the most about Richard would be that, and he knows this, so this isn't talking behind his back, is the speed at which he does things a lot of times, his multiple projects he might have going at once, his seeming inability to complete things sometimes, right? Just little things that I would nitpick. I will admit it. I was not kind about some of them because it's not the way I did things, right? I mean, I might leave some loose things here and there, but a large part of this is maybe my slow and steadiness of the generator. It's more of a focused approach to things, not so multitasking, always moving, always doing, right? He is such a manifesting generator in that respect. He's got the 3420. It's unconscious in his design. It's on the design side. So he's not even aware really most of the time of the speed of which he moves and how quickly things come to him and how quickly he gets into action. And this is something that has also been a self-perceived flaw of his. He would see himself as, and I guess I didn't help that, he would see himself as someone who skipped steps, didn't complete things, messed things up, always making mistakes. I can't tell you how many times I heard him, because he's very highly mechanical. We had a parasail business and he did all the maintenance on the boat. And how many times he would tell me that something broke, or he knew he should have done this or he did that, but he was always just, in a hurry to get it completed, a necessary hurry most of the time. It wasn't like a mindless hurry. He moves fast. And so many things in his life that he would beat himself up for. I can now see in his design that, again, this is where his genius lies. His beautiful open head and ajna, full of ideas and inspiration, and his open-mindedness and being able to see things from all different angles. He sees it as, he can't remember things, and he isn't certain, and he feels other people have an advantage of being more certain or being more focused or being this. And I can now encourage him and let him know. And I don't always have to tell him it's in his design, but he listens to me. It's like, no, honey, you are designed to be creative and to see things from all angles and be open to all of it, because you have such a beautiful creative energy. And it's such an empowering and beautiful thing to look at your partner and really see that level of them that shows you their brilliance. Maybe if it's something you couldn't put their finger on before. And it's really just given me a whole new level of love and appreciation for him. And so in that way, I would say that yes, human design can help you find your soulmate, because it didn't lead me to him in that sense, but it has created this new level of, like I said, appreciation and love in our relationship that I'm just so grateful for. And it could improve your relationships that you have to this degree, to this level, because for all the reasons I said, it is without a doubt, if you have ever looked deeply at your own design and see yourself, then you know that when you look at someone else's design, you're seeing them for who they truly are. And you can find those areas where maybe you've struggled in your relationship and find the grace and help them, if they're open to it, to help heal from things that may have been part of their conditioning. And it really just becomes this beautiful cooperative opportunity to help each other and improve together and all those wonderful things. So I'm just going to leave it there for today. I didn't really have a full plan to tell you what I was going to talk about. And I wanted to just make sure that I kept in touch here with you and let you know that even though my life at this moment is a little crazy and there's lots of things getting pulled in different directions, that I am still very much committed to you and committed to this work. And I would like to always be hopefully weekly bringing you something that you can take away some nugget there to help you. It may not always be a straight teaching moment. It may be, a moment like this of let's just have a conversation about this, but it was important to me to bring you something to think about today. And if you're really interested in learning more about these relationship dynamics, you can always reach out to me. I do have offerings on the website for relationship readings, like a composite where we can look at both of your charts. And if you have questions about some of these things, we can go through them. And another thing I wanted to mention that I'm working on, that I'm very excited about and about ready to launch, I'm putting together a new offering of a recorded reading, a video recorded reading of me going through your chart for you. It can be your choice of whether it's an explanation of your chart, like your type, strategy, authority, profile, your cross, that kind of thing. If you want just someone to really show it to you as you are hearing it, because I know some people are visual learners. Myself, I am. Some people audio, you want the written. There's all these different options. Or you can have specific questions you can talk about. So that's a reading that I'm putting together. It'll be a recorded reading, about 25 to 30 minutes. That will be yours to keep forever. I also am working on getting some individualized reports that you can purchase on the website. So just stay tuned. In the meantime, there are ways to work with me where we can do a one-on-one reading kind of thing. And if that's not working out for you in that capacity, please just reach out and we can make something work in some way, whether it's a video delivery reading or just hopping on a Zoom call or whatever. We can work something out. So there we go. Okay, so I'm going to wrap that up. I hope you have a wonderful week, and I will be back with you again in the next episode. So bye for now. You made it all the way to the end of today's episode, so you must have liked what you heard. If you did, make sure you subscribe so you never miss an episode, and perhaps leave us a good review. And if you know someone who wants to dig into all things human design with us, make sure you share the Human Design Hive podcast with them. We'd really appreciate it. Thanks for listening.